Welcome to the Tokyo Living Podcast, Greg Leviton.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Very good. Thank you for having me, Sam.
No, most welcome. We appreciate your time today. So we've got you on the show to talk a little bit about your company, FarmFresh. Perhaps if you can just start by giving the listeners a bit of a background of yourself. What's the Greg Leviton story?
Sure. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. I don't know if there is a short version, but I guess I would say it started out in the United States, East Coast, in the Philadelphia area. Actually, if you backtrack a little bit, I was actually born in England.
Okay.
You wouldn't know it from my accent. Actually, my father worked for an international chemical company, lived in a few overseas locations. I actually finished high school in Singapore, so I also went to international school back in the day. Bunch of places over the years, Asia, Europe, a few places in the US, and been in Tokyo now about 11 years, maybe a little bit more. And just trying to get some new ideas going, aspiring entrepreneur, I suppose you could say, and have the new farm delivery service on its way.
Yeah. The accent one's an interesting one. We actually had your mother-in-law on one of her earlier episodes, and we were talking about raising bilingual children, which I believe your children actually are, and your wife is as well. But I laughed at how my oldest son, both me and my wife are Australian, but he's now got an American accent because he watches too much American TV. But now our younger one, Alex, because he's watching a ton of Peppa Pig, he's got a very British accent now. So you can never tell listening to someone's accent, especially in the international community that we're in now, where someone might come from. But what is we'll get to FarmFresh, but what are some of the other things that you've done? You said you've always been entrepreneurial minded. What are some of the other projects that you'd had, I guess, in your time in Tokyo?
Sure. This is my first real chance to get something truly entrepreneurial off the ground. Over the years, really, I've always had a sales and business development background, and always been interested in new locations. So being born in England was not really my choice. That's just where I came out. Singapore as well, but later in life, I did spend some time in other places, like France and England again as an adult. In Japan, my wife actually had a position that moved us here 11 years ago. And she grew up here. She's an alumnus of ASIJ, Nishimachi, and the Japanese elementary school system. So being entrepreneurial, just wanted to look around. I ended up landing in the headhunting industry when we got here, and it fit well with my background, and that's still really my day job today. But
Right.
I'd say over the past few years, I've been looking into more entrepreneurial ideas. Naturally, once you get something going, it's rarely your first shot. So a few other ideas were in the pipeline, and finally the FarmFresh business was the one that stuck for now.
Yeah. So tell us about FarmFresh. How did that come about?
Yeah, it's actually kind of ties back into going to high school in Singapore. That comes back into here. At the time, and trust me, this was a while ago. So actually towards the end of the Japanese bubble that we all know about, Singapore American School, after the American population, Japanese nationality, there was a heavy contingent of Japanese. So
Really?
that's actually where I first became interested in Japan and Japanese culture, and ended up studying the language a bit in university. Some old Japanese friends of mine from Singapore, who I've been in touch with here. One was actually shipping vegetables from the Takasaki Gunma area off to the Japanese community of Singapore. And I guess the story is, once COVID hit, they wanted to export to some other markets around Asia. COVID made that difficult. So somebody came up with the idea to approach the expat community of Tokyo. And that's where I came in. I was the gateway to that. Probably a little over a year ago, the idea originated, and put it together step by step. We've been operational maybe about 3 months.
Right. Wow. So it really is a a new baby.
Yeah. So that is where it originated. There were a few other partners involved, and really, I guess you could call me the chief gaijin officer in a way. So
I like that.
everyone
That's
else,
not a position I've heard in most companies.
as I mentioned, I'm entrepreneurial, always thinking of new things. So maybe I'm the world's first chief gaijin officer. But yeah, everyone else is Japanese. They've all lived overseas, and thank goodness they can speak English, because my Japanese will only get me so far. But um, yeah, so really, I'm the liaison to the foreign community, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's quite enjoyable.
Yeah. So tell me about how the company works. So you're basically sourcing produce and delivering it to foreign residents in Tokyo. Is that the basic
In,
premise?
sure. In a nutshell, that's it on the most basic level. Kind of starting simple, and once the model really gets working, we can expand a bit. Sourcing produce, primarily vegetables at the moment. We were working with the city of Takasaki, Gunma quite a bit, and now we've, for now, sort of gravitated to one particular farmer that's, you can call him our chief farmer, I suppose, or chief farming officer, and making up new titles all the time. So, yeah, and there's a community of organic farms up there. This is someone who's a bit younger. I think many farmers in Japan are 70 or 80, to be honest, and succession planning becomes a bit of an issue.
Right.
So
Yeah. Um, yeah. I guess that's the impression that I think most people would have of Japanese farmers.
yeah, it's quite true. And living in Tokyo, we hear a lot about rural areas, and so this farmer we work with, he's a bit younger. He's getting younger kids involved in the farming. He has a lot of new ideas, and he's very interested in developing his own area, and that's actually a secondary mission of our business is economic development and rural development. And
And how does the actual process work? So is it all so website based? Do people select certain produce, or how do you work it in that way? How the logistics work?
sure. It's, to dive into that, it is an e-commerce business. There could be a physical site one day. We will be back doing farmers markets again. In fact, we'll be out at UN University in Aoyama on November 13th. If anyone listening wants to join, we'll have more announcements out as well.
And
At the
sorry, is that something you're going to do as a regular thing weekly?
We'd like to do it a lot. For the moment, probably once or twice a month, and
Hmm.
as time goes on, it could eventually be weekly. We were at Commune in Omotesando back in March of this year. Then state of emergency type situations, we couldn't get out there as much. So that's actually a great opportunity just to interact with the public. And
Mm.
of course, we'll be inviting customers that we have to come meet directly. But yeah, it's an e-commerce site. At the moment, it's fairly basic. That'll expand as time goes on. We have had fruit specials, some very good organic fruits from around the country. Mikan, kaki. There will be more on the way soon. We're actually tweaking that a bit to offer customers a little bit more selection. I think in the early trial phases, it was really, here's a box of vegetables. I think it works
Mm.
for some people, not as much for others. So we will be tweaking that and offering choice and selection. Anything
Mm.
you can think of could fit on the platform. I think meat will be in sometime soon, as well as other artisan goods. So
Mm.
it will keep developing, but it's really a B2C e-commerce site for the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and so at the moment, are you sort of offering all types of vegetables, or is it specific things? Are you, yeah, obviously it sounds like you're looking at expanding that, but what would, if people went to the site now, what could they have access to?
But we're actually trying to make it a bit more expat friendly. There's a lot, trust me, there's a lot of vegetables out there. I guess the main idea, yeah, it's, fruit is more limited.
Mm.
Vegetables, boy, there's a lot. Uh, the main idea is that it's locally sourced and organic and direct from the farms. And so we actually have to start promoting this a little bit more, but um, I think we want to start promoting who exactly is growing this and shipping it. And I think customers like to connect. Stay tuned as well next year. I mean, we want to have excursions out to the farms.
Yeah.
And maybe even start promoting the regions. But in terms of vegetables, it's really anything you can think of. And we are at the moment going to try to offer about 20 varieties, and then customers can indicate a preference. For instance, the naganegi from the region that we grow from, it's actually pretty famous out of there.
Okay.
But then at the same time, how much do foreigners use naganegi? And Japanese use it every
Yeah.
day. I use it quite a bit. So we have to get everything in tune with customers. But potatoes, tomatoes, colored peppers, colored carrots. Carrots were not always orange.
I was just about to say, what other colors do carrots come in?
There's a lot. I think
Really?
originally they were purple. Um, and yeah, this is great. I get to study the history and origins of a lot of these vegetables that we see every day at the market. I think there were purple carrots in Egypt. We're talking way back, like thousands of years maybe.
Wow.
They're orange. This is an interesting story I learned. The Dutch crossbred two types of carrots to make orange carrots. And that's why we have orange carrots all over the place.
Wow.
The Dutch did that. So really, there's a lot of varieties. Orange is newer. The other colors are not new. They're actually older.
Interesting. That is absolutely fascinating.
Learned a lot about carrots.
Any other color, odd colored vegetables that that people wouldn't think of? I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but I find that very fascinating.
It actually is, and that's what's great about this is sort of getting connected with the earth and moving beyond the supermarket to see where it all comes from. Peppers, we'll see green and red or sometimes yellow or orange at the market. There's many more colors.
Wow.
We have shipped out white peppers, purple peppers, some that were sort of a rainbow color. There's really a lot more than what My Basket and National are providing.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's fascinating. And I guess when you're setting up the business and then throughout that whole process, what have been some of the biggest challenges? Is it been to the actual delivery aspect or the communication with the farmers? What are some of the challenges that you face?
Sort of bringing it all together. In fact, all of us involved with this have day jobs, and since it's an e-commerce business where we're delivering at the moment every 2 weeks, soon to be every week, it's not really a full-time job for anybody at this point. So coordinating everything, different people involved have different expertise as well. One lady that's on the team is very good with the logistics side. And has some experience with that. In my case, it's as really the community liaison to the foreign community of Tokyo, getting the message out in the English language, of course. That has been a work in process. We also have some other partners that are really from the film industry. So very good on the creative side. One of my partners created our logo, which has the smiling sun, which we ended up deciding on. So I would say bringing it all together has been the biggest challenge. And at this point, now that we're operational, it's really just figuring out what works. This service, it's quite common in different areas of the world, including Japan. There are Japanese services. There's not really one model that works. I guess if you think of restaurants, you have good ones, you have bad ones. You have something down the street, you have something near Tokyo Station, for example. So it's really whatever you want to make of it. And I think we're trying to figure out the best way to grow this and bring it to the community. That's probably the biggest challenge at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Customer connection.
And where do you see the business going? I mean, you've talked about trying to increase the range of products that you offer. Also about trying to develop the agricultural side of things and trying to develop, I guess, bring awareness to that farming industry. Is that maybe talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I guess it's somewhat limitless. And in fact, a lot of us are very creative with our ideas. So we sometimes have to put a leash on everything and just bring it back to reality and make it actually work rather than what's the latest idea. But there are a lot. One idea we're starting to develop is out near the primary farming site, which ties into another idea where I think there's going to be multiple sites over time, and different regions have different specialties. We'd like to get into camping. There are areas near the farms that are available. We can set up camping. That ties in a bit with tourism promotion, and if we start to work with some of the cities, municipalities, or prefectures on a local basis, I think more promotion of the areas. I think there's other offshoots of this as well that tie into recipes and cooking. We would like to have cooking classes. We would like to provide more recipes. For now, we've provided some recipes directly to customers, but there's a lot of worlds you can step into. So cooking and recipes is one area, camping and tourism, getting out there with farmers markets. It could be that there's a physical location one day. So I think those are some of the areas, and even having some partners in the film industry. There could be a FarmFresh TV type of channel where we might present the cooking classes. We might have tours of the farm where we're out there talking with the farmers, and that appears on the TV channel. There's really a lot of directions this can go. But I think we want to have it all come back to organic farming, healthy eating, healthy lifestyles, outdoor activities. So I think the theme will remain constant, and then there's a lot you can do within that.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds fantastic. Yeah, like you said, it says limitless with what you can do with that theme and that sort of concept and philosophy. And so if people were interested in, I guess, learning a little bit more about the company and about what you do, but also getting started ordering products, how do they find you?
The simplest way is farmfresh.jp. That is the website.
Yep.
And so that's where everything takes place. We do have a bit of a social media following at the moment. Instagram and Facebook primarily. There is a LinkedIn page as well. So we are able to take orders through there, but it's actually been a lot of fun to interact with the public on this. And of course, that's my responsibility in all of this. And that's what's fun about this as well, is it's a chance to connect with the community. There's been a bit of outreach into certain different communities, such as various international schools, and getting the word out, and still somewhat in an early testing phase, but I think there would be more advertising later. For now, farmfresh.jp, we are going to be switching our model a bit to, I think we'll primarily have subscriptions for vegetables. I think that just makes it easier for people. You don't have to think about it every week. We've got a pretty big mailing list at this point, so that all goes out. But website and social media for the moment. Come out and see us at farmers markets soon.
Yeah, sounds good. And just your social media handles, is it just FarmFresh on Instagram and Facebook?
Let me check this. I should.
Otherwise,
websites are easy to remember. I believe on Facebook it is just FarmFresh Japan, and Instagram would be. Let's get this going here. FarmFresh _Japan.
Okay. Fantastic. So everyone, go and check out farmfresh.jp and check them out on socials. Anything else you'd like to say to the listeners before we finish up, Greg?
Sure. No, this has been a lot of fun, and look for us. I think we're trying to get out there and interact a bit more. I think getting to the source of everything is a lot of fun, and having a healthy lifestyle is certainly beneficial for everyone. I think we just look forward to contributing to that. Looking forward to meeting more customers, and this has been a lot of fun. We hope to grow this a lot very soon.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on what you've done with the company so far, and all the best for your future projects. CGO, Chief Guardian Officer. I'm not sure if you can put that on a May sheet, but Greg, thanks very much for your time today, and we'll look forward to chatting again soon.
Thank you very much, Sam.
All right, take care. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.